for this practice, we're going to need a towel that sort of looks like this. If it's a bit shorter, because bath towels are a little shorter, that's fine as well too. So the first way we're going to use it is we're going to actually lie on it. So if you can fold your towel in thirds, so 1/3 here, another third, and then across. So it's kind of like a strip that you can put down the length of your mat. It's probably going to be, depending on how wide your towel is, it will be probably about a hand length in width. So just play with it for a second. Now, this is totally optional, but I wanted to give you a chance to try sort of a lifted position, although very tiny lift to start with. We're going to explore using the towel to give us support as well as stretch in our class. So hopefully that makes sense from a folding perspective. So I've folded it into 3 parts. And then when you're ready, you can come down and sort of situate yourself so that the base of your pelvis here is sort of lined up in the center of that, and then have a lay down. Now it's position the top of the towel if you need to, so it doesn't interfere with your neck. Just sort of play with it for a minute to see if that is in the right spot for you. And then from there, what it's doing or what it's providing is a little, like the tiniest of little lift, but maybe you'll start to feel that little difference versus laying flat just on your mat. So from here, you can straighten the legs or keep the knees bent. The arms are going to be coming out to the side if you can, almost in like a T-like position, just to see if you can maybe feel a little bit of openness through the chest, a little bit more than you would if you were lying flat on your back without that towel. Now, of course, if this does not feel good, if you're like, I don't like this, my body's saying thanks, but no thanks, you're welcome to take the towel away. It's just an option for your starting and centering of your class. So figure out if it's working or not, any little other adjustments. And then what might start to happen is that you might start feeling that the arms are slightly, the shoulders are slightly higher than the hands, which is ever so slightly present. And for all of us that sit during the week, this is a nice way to allow our heart to open a bit and let those shoulders roll back a bit. So I invite you to close your eyes if you haven't done so already. And let the muscles around the eyes relax. Let the jaw be soft and the tongue lay comfortably in your mouth. Soften the forehead. And then just let that sensation sink down the rest of your body, out your arms to your hands, and down your legs to your feet. Almost as if you're melting into the floor beneath you. This is a good opportunity to take a check on your breathing, bringing a little bit of focus to the breath. And releasing your day thus far. And then slowly bringing a bit of movement into the fingertips, just moving them a little bit. You might open and close those fingers or give them a little bit of movement through the knuckles. Might feel good to add some wrist rotations. And depending on how your ankles are doing this morning, maybe give them a little swirl around too. And as you're ready, you can slowly bring your eyes open. So we'll take this towel out for now and just put it to the side, but staying in this lying position. So just shimmy for a minute and take that towel out from underneath you. You can just set it aside. And then I'd like you to lift up your right knee and foot off the ground. Just place the right hand on top of that knee. And then just imagine that your big leg bone is like a stir stick in a cup of coffee. So we want to stir that coffee with that stir stick. So take that hip and move it in its socket as we move that big leg bone. Trying not to pull with the hand. You can make those circles relatively small. And notice what starts to happen on the left side of your body. Is there any movement happening on the left to sort of compensate for that right leg being up and moving? And imagine trying to sink the body still downwards to the floor on that left side, trying not to rotate or move through the left. And let's now change the direction, swirling around that right leg in the right hip. Just bringing a bit of openness and awareness to that hip joint, giving it a bit of chance to move in a very circular motion. Good. And then drop that right foot, bringing up that left knee, left hand on top of that left knee joint. And then we can swirl that stir stick back into the coffee, going on the other side, rotating around. And take it as fast or slow as you'd like. So it just depends on where you're feeling. Maybe the one side is not feeling very open, maybe feeling a little stiff, so you go a little slower. Or if you need a little more speed, go for it. And let's switch to the other side, noticing what's going on the right-hand side. Is the right foot wanting to move or that right inner thigh wanting to move? Thinking about just that left leg moving, right? Trying to be as quiet as possible. Great. And then coming to a position where we drop that left foot down and just walk it out for a minute. Just shake, not even so much shake, but just walk your feet like you're walking. And then we're going to bring both of our knees up to our chest, keeping your arms straight, both hands on top of the kneecaps. I want you to think about, as you exhale, pulling those knees into the chest. So exhaling, knees come in, elbows bend. Inhaling, knees go away, arms straighten. So exhale, knees coming in, blow that air out. Inhaling as those knees float away. So obviously as we exhale, we're compressing our lungs and we're bringing our knees in at the same time to get that sort of extra compression. And then when we're inhaling, those knees are going away from us, allowing for that space for those lungs to open and fill up. So see if you can feel that and take it as however fast and slow your breath is, seeing if you can link your natural inhale and your natural exhale to the movement. Even so much so that the breath is what starts before the movement. So thinking about inhaling, inhaling, inhaling as those knees float away and starting our exhale and the knees come to follow. So just play with that for a minute. Moving through what is called Apanasana. If we're going to get really formal with names today, there it is. Good. Moving those knees to the breath. And then just completely let it go, releasing those hands down to the floor. Feet can drop to the floor. And we'll slowly press ourselves over to the side and just come to a seated position for a moment. Have your towel handy, because I just came to seated so that we could do some folding. Who wants to do folding this morning? I sure don't, but for yoga, I will. So if you can fold up your towel so that you have sort of this long pillar. So I think I folded it. What did I fold it? 2 times? And then when you have this sort of long length, we're going to roll it so that you make like a little bit of a roll. around. And so the roll is going to really depend on how much pressure you want. So the more tight that you put that towel, the more pressure that's going to be on it. If you find that that's going to be too much, go ahead and adjust it and actually have like a little bit of a tail. It doesn't have to be fully rolled up. So play with it a bit, but we're going to work on a little bit of side bending with this towel. So if you want to watch for a second, I'll show you what we'll move into. We're placing the towel down on the ground and we're taking the side of our rib cage. So kind of almost on like, if you think of like a bra line, it might be around there. So on that side, we're going to bring our body down and allow that towel to land sort of right on that spot on the ribs. The bottom arm is going to support our head. And we're going to let ourselves come into this sort of side bend over the towel. So knees are bent, hips are bent, really grounded through the lower body. And then seeing if we can sort of get this rounding motion around that towel. And so again, it just depends on what you think feels good. It could be a strong sensation, particularly through, so we've got side oblique abdominals plus our intercostal muscles between our ribs. So it can be it could be a sensitive area. So just allow yourself to find the right amount of pressure. And then if it feels good to you and you feel that your legs are quite grounded, you could take your top arm up and over just to sort of feel that extra long side body stretch. So towards the floor above your head, let those fingertips touch if they can. And then just try to really feel like you're arching, getting a long side body stretch with a little bit of sensation on the inside or the side of the body close to the floor. Good. And take a nice deep breath in. And as you do, think about the expansion of your rib cage against that towel. And then as you exhale, allow that sort of decompression away from the towel. So just staying in this fixed position here for a minute, allowing your breath to move those ribs against that little bit of pressure, as well as getting a nice opening through the side on the top side of the body. If the hand doesn't feel good above the head, you can always place it down by the shoulder. Good. And then allow that top arm to walk back, have it in front of your chest, and you can press yourself up. And we'll come to the other side, again, adjusting this towel as needed. So if you think that you need to make it a little less, go ahead and positioning it right sort of on that rib cage bra line, right here, coming onto the side. Allowing those knees and thighs to be heavy, supporting the head with the bottom arm. Hand can stay down sort of by the roll or through your shoulder, just to kind of orient yourself. Watching that the pelvis doesn't roll forward. The tendency is maybe to come forward to change the sensation at the ribs. So really try to keep those hips stacked one on top of the other. And then if it feels good to you, you can let that top arm come up and over and see if you can get that nice long side body. And just depending on your body too, it might feel completely different on this side. It could very well be a stronger or a softer sensation. Taking your big breath in, feel those ribs press into that towel. And then as you exhale, allow those ribs to float away from the towel, kind of a bit of a decompression. Great. Go ahead and walk that top arm, if it's above your head, down towards that shoulder, and then pressing ourselves up into our seated position. And if you want the sort of lift to sit under or a lift in the hips, you can sit on your towel. So you can unroll that and add that little bit of lift underneath you if you want, just to sit on that towel. So let's now try the side bend in a seated position. So comfortable position doesn't matter. It can be a really loose cross-legged position. If it would feel better for you to have your knees bent like this, that's fine too. What we're trying to do is see what our side bend looks like just with that little bit of openness and pressure that we just gave. So we'll take our right fingertips, either keep them at the shoulder or all the way up towards the sky. Take the left hand out and walk those fingertips, and then seeing how that side bend feels here in that upright position. So now gravity is working on us a little differently, and you might feel that there's a bit more space there. And then if you can, open up that top shoulder. See if you can rotate slightly and take your gaze up towards the crease in the elbow. Drop down through that right hip. Try to keep it grounded into the ground. Good. And then take the gaze back forward. Allow the body to shift all the way back up, and we'll go right into the other side. So left hand comes up, right fingertips down, coming over to that side bend, wherever that's most comfortable. Spiral and open that chest a little bit. So almost like a little bit of rotation. Taking that gaze up, if it feels good in your neck, to that crease in the elbow. Ground down through the left hip. Keep both sides equal on the floor, but soften those shoulders down. And then gaze can come back forward and then reach all the way up. Beautiful. Let's grab our towel. Haha, I'm sitting on my towel. I was like, where did my towel go? I'm sitting on it. And we'll unfold it and make a longer strip. So if you can sort of, it can be a roll or it can be a fold. It really doesn't really matter. It's more your preference. As long as we've got length is what I'm looking for, some length here. And then what I think might be a good way to do it, just to hold on to it, might be through the pointer finger and the thumb. So almost just like this sort of position, if that makes sense. So a little bit of a clasp, just a different way to hold instead of like bracing it or grabbing on it with a big grip. Okay, so from here, let's take our arms to shoulder height. And then we're going to take our arms over to the right. And as we do, the left elbow will bend. So we're gliding, gliding, gliding. Left elbow will bend to allow that arm to go all the way back. Good. Coming back to shoulder height. Then right arm is going to bend. Left will stay straight. So just trying to think about keeping this towel on the parallel to the floor as best we can, just to get a bit of glide and slide through those shoulders. Good. Awesome. And as you can imagine, you don't necessarily need a towel for this, but it kind of gives you something to hold on to. It keeps your focus on keeping the arms parallel as well. Good. So if that towel didn't feel good, you can just do the action without. Good. So let's make sure we've done one or done equal amount on both sides. So finishing up. Good. And then coming back to center. Now, really make that towel taut. So give it a bit of a snap. And then we'll lift those arms up. It does not have to come overhead completely, but coming up and then bring it all the way down towards the thighs. And up again. So we'll see how this action feels. Just be aware of where your breathing is. So did the breathing change as you lifted that towel up overhead? Did the ribs start to flare out? Did the shoulders start to yell at you? If they did, you might be going a little far. Good. One more time. And then we'll just let the towel land on our lap and just give those arms a bit of a shake out. So a bit of shoulder roll if you need. We're going to head back to that exact same position, but change it slightly. So again, grabbing hold onto that towel, you might want to give it a couple movements here to tighten it up. And we'll take it up towards the sky. Now let's look at that side bend again. Feel coming over to the left this time. How does that feel? Does the right hip want to pop up and you want to fall over? You might want to just minimize that side bend. So feel what that feels like. Good. Stay with me here. Nice deep breath in, come up. And exhale over to the other side. So really big side bend. We're activating the arms. We're using those shoulders. You might be feeling those shoulders, as well as we're getting that long side body stretch. Good. Coming all the way up. We'll go one more time all the way over. Good. All the way up. And last one. Might be starting to get some heat and some warmth in your body as you get through those movements. Great. And drop those arms down. Go ahead and take it back to those shoulder rolls. If it feels good, you can even keep those fingertips on the shoulder rolls and really get some nice rounding with the elbows coming forward. And then maybe the other way. Great. Alrighty, so just allow that towel to come to the side for a moment and we'll come to standing. So come all the way up to standing, whatever way is best for you. And we'll come into our standing mountain pose. So without looking down, see if you can get your feet parallel to each other. Let's see where that is today. And then they're landing right underneath those hips. Keeping the middle in the middle, drop those shoulders down and just let those arms come to the side. Palms can be facing forward or towards the sides of the thighs. Just feel how you feel standing today. You might feel a stronger sensation through those shoulders because we just did a good little set on them. And just holding that mountain pose. Great. Now go ahead and take a deep breath in, reach all the way up to the sky. And as you exhale, really bend those knees and fold the body forward, coming into a forward fold. So first forward fold of the day. I'll give you my profile here. So allow the head just to drop and release. Again, really be kind to yourself by keeping the knees as bent as you need. All we're trying to do is fold forward and see if we can connect the torso to the thighs. So however that feels, however you get there with the knees bent or not is up to you. Hands could be on shins, ankles, feet, or maybe the floor, just depending on where you're at, and really let that head hang. Great. Now take those hands and slowly walk up those thighs, rounding up the spine, allowing those shoulders to come back and stacked right over the pelvis. Great. Let's go again. Deep breath in. And as you exhale, folding once more, seeing again, play with it here. There's a little bit more openness on the back of the body. Second time through in that forward fold, grabbing maybe the fronts of the shins, maybe the ankles, maybe those knees straighten just a tiny bit as you let your head come down towards the floor. From here, we're going to walk our hands up, but we're going to stop once our back comes to parallel to the floor. Hands can come all the way up to the hip creases or just the tops of the thigh. And take your head and see if you could pull it forward. Drop the shoulders down and see if you can get a nice long spine here in a half fold. Good. And then slowly fold forward one more time here. Fold forward, dropping that head. And then if it feels good in your body today, you might want to take the arms out now and come all the way up, or arms frame the head, taking a deep breath in, coming all the way back up. If those arms are at the side or above, go ahead and drop them back down. All right, let's go again. Deep breath in. Exhale, let's see where that body wants to go now. You've got a bit more space, dropping those hands. Maybe this time, bring the hands back behind the legs, clasping a hold of your calves. So feeling that difference, you've rolled your shoulders in and you've got a bit of a different placement, different sensation. Really let that head hang. And then if it feels good for you, you can keep the hands on the thighs or come halfway up and press those arms back, almost like arm plane arms, palms facing towards the ceiling, coming into that half fold. Long through the spine, the crown of the head is facing forward. Arms are parallel to the floor or on the tops of the thighs. And then slowly hinge forward, coming forward into that forward fold. Release, release, release. Options here. Hands can walk up the thighs. Arms can come out to the side. Her arms can come up, framing the head. You decide as you come in and all the way back up. And exhale, dropping those arms. Here we go. We're diving forward again. Deep breath in. Come all the way up. Exhale, hinge forward. Allowing those knees to bend again as much as you need. This time, taking your peace fingers, so your big finger, your middle finger, and your pointer finger and your thumb, clasp that around the pinky side of your foot. So see if you can wiggle, wiggle, wiggle the pointer finger and the middle finger by the pinky toe and press the thumb into that pinky toe. So just see if you can get that sort of locked connection between the foot and the hand, and see if those elbows can come out to the side a little bit. Just trying to deepen that forward fold a little bit. If that feels a little too unstable, you don't have to connect the hands and feet, solely just an option. And we'll come up to halfway. You decide your option. Hands on thighs could be the place you'll be, or arms back behind you, kind of into that airplane arm, trying to keep that nice long spine. Good job, everybody. Exhale, fold forward, dropping that head, really releasing it this time. Last time in our forward fold for a little bit, so you can shake the head no a little bit, shake the head yes, just finding some space through the upper cervical neck spine. Good, and your choice, how do you want to come up? You decide. Arms can be out or hands can walk all the way back up those legs. Awesome. If the arms are up, you can bring them all the way down and just pedal out the legs for a moment. We'll situate ourselves with our towel once more. It should probably be in a longer position as we were doing the arm work before. So something like this would be just fine. And we'll clasp hold as we did before, pointer finger and thumb coming together. So now we're just in that standing position. So just to play with it to begin with, we've done this already, bringing the arms up and down, and just feel how those shoulders have maybe warmed up a bit. You got a little bit more movement potentially coming forward. The action that we haven't done yet is going backwards. So take that towel, thread it behind your back, and then see how that feels, bringing the arms back behind. So of course the towel can't go through our body, so we have to bring it behind us, but trying really hard to stay nice and tall in your posture. What can start to happen is we compromise our rib cage by trying to get our arms further back. So just think about the arms as a pendulum swinging back behind you, and the rest of the body is quiet. So an action we don't do very often, so it's not a huge one. And be watchful of what's going on in the head and the neck. That's another area where we would shoot our head forward to compensate too. So see if you can keep that crown of the head nice and tall. Good. Release that towel now back in front of you. And let's get those legs involved a bit. So feet about hip width apart. Depending on how it feels for you, we're going to bring those arms up as we sink down into our chair. So can stay at shoulder height, or if you felt like you got a nice opening already in those shoulders, they might come up as well. And then synchronize the movements standing up, dropping the arms at the same time. So let's do 3 more like this. Sitting back, lifting those arms up into our chair. They can stay at shoulder height. And then coming back down. 2 more. Synchronizing our movements together as best we can. Watching that those knees stay facing forward as best we can. As we sit back, they sometimes want to fall in, so try to keep them out a bit. Awesome. Now, just for fun, let's thread that towel back behind us, and let's see what happens when we try to do the action with the arms the opposite way. All right, I'm not quite sure what's going to happen, so let's give it a try. So as we sit back down, see if we can lift those arms back behind us. Ooh, that feels quite different. And then standing all the way back up. Trying to keep that chest lifted without falling forward. Small movement through those shoulders again, but a little different. You might find it a little bit more intense in the legs simply because we are no longer counterbalancing that forward motion. We're actually taking more of our body weight behind us as opposed to when those arms are in front of us. Last one. And slowly come back up. Beautiful. Let's drop that towel for a moment and just give those wrists a bit of a shakeout because we did actually require a lot of our hands and wrists as we grasp onto that towel. From here, we'll come to that mountain, but switch it pretty quick here. I'd like us to go into a tandem position. So taking your right foot, place it in front of the left. We've narrowed our base of support. So that is maybe a little unsteady. So I'll give you a side view, one foot in front of the other. Good. And hold that there. Now without the towel, but we now know the movement, if you want to add some arms, lift the arms up to shoulder height. See how it affects your balance. And then bring them back down. Bring those arms now back behind you and see what happens. Where does the shift happen? Maybe nothing at all, or maybe you feel a little bit more forward. Good, bring the arms back down. And then all the way up as you stand in this balanced tandem position. And lower down. Great. Release that front foot, that right foot, and just give it a little walk out. We'll come over now to the left-hand side, left foot forward, right foot back. Ground yourself here. And so what happens, of course, is that our support leg is our back leg. So depending on how balanced you are in your body, you might feel this one is quite a bit different than the other side. So use support if you need to, holding on to a wall or a chair. Okay, from here, whew, there we go. Bringing the arms up to shoulder height. Try that. And then bringing them down, back behind us now. Feel the difference, what's going on in the feet. They might be a little bit more wobbly. Good, and then coming all the way up towards the sky. Good, and then slowly release. Release that left leg, give it a bit of a shakeout. We're going to go back one more time on both sides, but a really big change. We're going to do something quite a bit different. So step that right foot forward, left foot back. Place your hands on your hips just to see what's going on here. If you feel they're slightly rotated, see if you can get them to be side by side, those two hips. Good. Now, we depend so much on our visual cues to keep us balanced. So what I encourage you to try safely, of course, is to close your eyes. So hold that position and see if you can close maybe one eye, maybe the other, and maybe both. Of course, you'll feel lots of sensation in through the feet. Our proprioception, everything in our body is telling us where we are in space, but we just took away the vision. So that's where it has to adapt and depend on other parts of our body. So play with it. Great. And bring that gaze open again. Release that right front leg and we'll come over all the way to the left. So left foot in front, right foot behind. Who would have thought narrowing our base of support just a little bit, how it impacts how we are in space. Now, if you feel safe enough, again, that visual cue gives us the horizon. We are going to take it away. Maybe start with one eye, then the other eye, or maybe both eyes. Balance. Now, believe it or not, balance comes from our middle. So if you can think about a little bit of brace, not an over brace, but just a little light engagement of those abdominals, see how that affects where your balance is. The stronger we are in our torso, the stronger we are in our appendages. So our legs get that support as we balance here. Excellent. Okay, let's get out of the balance. Release, give those legs a bit of a shake. Woo, woo, all this balance. Good challenge though, good challenge to have. So we'll come back. We're gonna now fuse our chair pose and our forward fold. So from here, we'll take our arms up, take a deep breath in. And instead of folding forward to begin with, we're going to sit down, sit down, sit down, sit down. Awesome. Hold that chair for a moment. And then without moving those legs, see if you can hinge from those hips. Bring that torso towards the thighs. Keep those arms long above the head. Press down through those feet. Feel how stable you are now when both feet are side by side. And then as those hands and fingertips float towards the ground, straighten those knees and lift those hips up as best you can towards the ceiling. Finding the best position for those hands. Maybe you want to go with the backs of the calves. Maybe you liked the side connection with fingers and foot. You decide what feels best for your forward fold, just to get the biggest release and lengthening through the spine. Good. And then your best way of coming up, you can decide arms overhead, arms to the side, hands walk up the thighs. What is going to serve you best to get you back up to that standing position? Awesome. Go ahead and grab your towel. We're going to do a quick chest opener before we go back into our forward fold and chair. So grabbing that towel once more behind the back. Lift those arms back and away. But instead of not pushing those ribs forward, we're going to press down through our feet, lift up through the thighs, and see if we can drop the arms down and back into a nice big chest opener. A little bit of a back bend as we round back, keeping the chin relatively parallel to the chest. So coming back, back, back. Awesome. Squeeze those shoulder blades together. And then slowly bring yourself back up, belly button, rib cage, chest, shoulders, and chin. We'll drop that towel to the side, lift those arms up, sink down, down, down into that chair, and then hinge forward at those hips, knees stay bent, down, and let those fingertips brush the ground if they can, and straighten those knees as we forward fold. Great. Again, hands can go wherever feels best. And then you decide, how would you want to come up? Coming all the way back up, deep breath in. And exhaling out. Grab a hold of that towel once more. Let's make it a little bit quicker. Drop those arms down and back. Pull those arms back behind you. As you press into those feet, our back bend comes from our legs. So lift out of your pelvis, pressing up and rounding back. Squeeze your shoulder blades together, coming into that back bend. Great. Now, if you're extra coordinated, you can keep that towel in your hands, holding it in one hand, swinging it in front to allow that towel to now come up with you into that chair position. Ooh, fancy moves. Good. Hinging at those hips, bring that torso down towards the thighs. Let that towel sort of sweep across your mat as you straighten those knees into that forward fold. Now, with that towel in both of your hands, you can take it above your head to come up. Or if you don't want to do the above the head, you could just bring the hands to the side, bring the towel with you, come all the way back up. Whew. Alrighty, we're going again. Thread that towel back behind you. Press those shoulders down, pull those arms away, open up that chest and lift out of the legs, back bend here. Taking our coordination up a notch, coming out of that back bend, swinging that towel a little bit in front of you, lifting the arms up, coming into chair. Press those hips back. Excellent. Hinging at those hips, coming forward, keeping those knees bent for a moment, and then straightening up into that forward fold. Towel can be out to the side in one hand or in both hands, coming all the way back up. Awesome job. Thread that towel back behind you a little quicker. Drop those arms down. Squeeze those shoulder blades together. Lift the arms and the heart coming into our back bend. Press those hips forward. Here's the fancy move. Stack that spine all the way up. Swing that towel out front, coming into our chair, lifting those arms wherever they feel the best, shoulder height or above the head. Hinge at those hips, keep those knees bent. Sweep that towel down to the ground. Lift those hips as you straighten those knees, feeling the heat in the body. Lots of big movements here. And then as you come up, decide where does that towel need to be for you. Trying to unclench those toes on the mat. Lower those arms. Taking that towel back behind. Drop those arms down. Squeeze those shoulder blades together. Pressing those feet down into the ground. Lift out of the legs as you lift the heart up towards the sky. Press the hips forward. Big back bend. Excellent. Bringing that spine back up, straightening it out, swinging that towel in front of you, lifting those arms and having a seat into chair. Hinging forward from those hips, coming forward, lift those sit bones on the back of the pelvis, lifting them up, straightening those knees and coming into our forward fold. You decide how you want to come up. Arms can come out to the side and holding that towel with one hand all the way back up. Whew. Nice work, everybody. Go ahead and drop that towel and just give those legs a bit of a shake out. So hopefully we sequenced that. We did our back bend and floated into chair, into forward fold, all with the towel. And just because I want you to feel it without the towel, let's do it one more time. So see if we can get that movement without needing the tension of that towel. So hands are going to come either back into the low back. They might come down, clasp behind you. You decide what's going to feel best in your body for your back bend. Lift out of those legs, drop those arms down, pulling them away, squeezing those shoulder blades. I'm gliding my hands down the backs of my thighs, opening the chest up to the sky. Coming all the way up, you decide where those arms go, into your chair, shoulder height, or up towards the sky. Hinge at those elbows, coming forward, forward, forward. And as that torso touches the thighs, go ahead and straighten those knees. Hands come to shins, backs on the back of the calf, feet, floor. Coming all the way up, hands above the head, or out to the side, or walking yourself up one hand at a time back into standing. Awesome job. Whew. Feel the heat in our body. We're going to keep that heat going and come down onto the ground. So grab your towel and lay it out as if you were at a beach. So all the way across your towel. All across your mat. Take your towel all across your mat, and then we'll come to the lying position, keeping again that sort of energy with us. Feet are going to be on the floor, knees are bent, and then locate yourself so that you can find the corners, the top corners of your towel. So you should wiggle yourself to the point where you've got space between the top of your head and the top of your towel, a very little bit amount, and then we'll grab onto those corners of the towel. If you feel that your feet on your towel are gliding too much, go ahead and move that towel so that your feet get onto your sticky mat, and then you have a bit more traction for those feet. So we'll move into a little bit of middle work, get that heat going still. So pressing those feet down into the ground, feel them as your foundation. Arms come up to hold the corners of your towel. Head is heavy. It stays kind of, hammocked into this towel. So as we lift up, using abdominals to pull us up, to flex our spine forward, my head is completely supported by my towel. Arms are activated to hold the corners of the towel up, and then slowly come back down. So we'll take that through some curl ups here, curling up and coming down. A good place for you to look is potentially where the crease of your wall meets the ceiling. So that sort of connection is a good place for your gaze. If you're looking too far forward, you might be using the neck a little too much. So go ahead and see if that gaze helps you. Again, the head is supported by the towel. This is This is the MacGyver version of the ab roller. It's supporting you through your head as those, probably old school ab rollers. They're not around anymore, I don't think, but similar idea, supporting the head and neck with the towel. Awesome. Take yourself one more time up and down. So up to you. Do you want to go a little bit further? Take those shins now and bring them parallel to the floor. Feet come off the mat. Release the hands for a moment and grab on the backs of the thighs. Give yourself a little bit of hug, a little bit of love, and then release the knees back, taking the arms up towards those top corners. Taking ourselves into that curl up once more, but we'll add a little twist. So lift yourself up, up, up. Now take a little twist to the left, coming back to the center and slowly lowering down. Lifting up once more, twisting now to the right. Slowly coming back to the middle and dropping back down. Let's do that 2 more times on each side. Again, really strong through the middle, but those arms are working. You might feel it a bit through the shoulders and the wrists. So be gentle with yourself. Take a break if you need to. Getting that middle activated, that abdominal muscles contracting a bit, trying to minimize the pressure on the neck. Good job. We'll finish up. And come all the way down. Go ahead and grab those hands under the backs of the thighs. Give yourself a little pull in. And if it feels good at this point, you can add a bit of ankle rotation one way and then the other. Great work. Now dropping those feet down, take the legs all the way out long, and then take your hands down towards the sides of your hips. So the towel will still be there, so you can feel that towel potentially there. Now take your right hand and place it under your right buttock. So you might need to bend that right knee for a moment just to get that little bit of placement of your right hand underneath your right buttock cheek. Just see what that feels like. Again, if that doesn't feel great, you can just keep the hand at the side of the thigh. We're trying to get a big opening through the front here by allowing that hand to come back behind us. Now, taking your left hand, see if you can do the same thing, bending potentially through that left knee to lift that left glute. Place the left hand underneath your left glute. If this is too much of a strong sensation through the low back, you're welcome to keep the knees bent. But if you can, see if you can try that longer position. That'll give a bit more opening through the front of the hip as well. So this position, see if you can now round the shoulders underneath you a bit. So almost open up the heart forward as you bring those shoulders down towards your towel. So a bit of an arch in the back starting to happen as you lift up. Keep that chin slightly tipped down to the chest, but let the chest come to the chin. You don't want to pull too far down with that chin. Lifting up. Deceivingly hard position. Looks easy on camera, but it takes a lot of work to press your body up towards the sky. Good. And then slowly let that heart sink down. You can release the left hand from under the left buttocks cheek and release the right. Awesome. Bring those knees to chest one more time. Give them a bit of a hug. So that pose that we just did is sort of the first step to what is called fish pose. It's a really strong back bend. So you may have felt a real big opening through the front of your body. That's what we would expect. So I wanted to play with that a little bit today, get an opening through the shoulders as well as that extension through the spine. Fantastic. Okay, let's drop the left foot down, keep the left knee bent, straighten that right leg up towards the sky. So it doesn't matter where the leg is in space. It doesn't have to be perfectly perpendicular to the floor. Just find that spot. Might feel good to take the hands on the backs of the thighs and just hold that for a second. And then as you settle here, maybe you can float those toes a bit closer to your face. Or not. It's a strong pose. Just getting a release on the backs of the thighs. Stay grounded through the left hip. Good. Breathe. And then lower that right leg down. Lift the left leg up towards the sky. Feel it where it needs to be. And then you're welcome to take the hands behind the thighs and just sort of feel for some support. Good. And release that left leg down. We'll finish with our towel again today using our towel again today. So I'm going to sit up for a moment. I'm going to show you just sort of the size of towel or how we want to fold it. We'll take it and make it into sort of this, I guess this is a square. And we'll sort of fold it from here into a strip that's a little bit longer than when we did the side bend. So it's sort of in this sort of length position. And then we'll position it so that it's going to land behind our shoulders and our shoulder blades. So coming to this longer position, this is going to be a bit more of a chest and stretch than we did at the very beginning. So we'll allow those shoulder blades to land here. And now if you need something for support, like a pillow or here's a block, you might need that under your head, or it might feel okay to have it down. Just gauge what feels best for you. And then let the arms sort of come out to the sides as long as that towel. Knees can stay bent, or the legs can be straightened out. So you decide. Alternatively, if you want to, bring the feet nice and close together. You might want to come into the butterfly position or cobbler's pose or Baddha Konasana, where the knees are out to the side, a bit more of a big hip, inner thigh stretch too. So however you want to get into that position, you're welcome to. using the support of that towel to lift us a little bit and get a bit more of a opening through the front of the chest. Now, depending on your comfort, if this is a little too much for you, if you're feeling like you're hanging out in space and it's not comfortable, you're welcome to take that towel away and just come into your flat lying position. So gauge what would be best for your Shavasana. Of course, if you need a blanket to cover up with, go ahead, get yourself comfortable. If you want to just hang out here in this position, you're more than welcome to for your Shavasana. This was a position of rest for some and maybe not for others. So you can decide what is going to bring you comfort and ease so that we can integrate our practice into our bodies. As we slowly close our practice today, connect back to that breath. Notice if there's any parts of your body that have a little bit more space to allow that inhale and exhale to move through. We moved through the hips, through the shoulders, through the ankles and knees. Maybe there's a little space. Finding that place of quiet, finding a moment for a little introspection, and a moment for rest. May you find peace. May you feel love. And may you find rest. Bringing your attention back into your body. Finding maybe that little inner smile inside of you. Acknowledging that you took some time for yourself today to connect with your breath and your body. You can move those fingertips and toes. Maybe move the head from side to side. And slowly rolling over onto the right side of the body. Taking some deep breaths in and out. Some new fresh air into the body. As you're ready, you can press yourself up to a seated, comfortable position. And let's take one big breath together as we finish our practice. Bring those arms up nice and high. Deep breath in. And as you exhale, kiss those hands together, bringing together both sides of the body to the heart, bowing our heads, gratitude and reflection of that inner smile that I hope you have today. The light in me sees the light in all of you. Namaste.